Call. Sorry about that. Welcome back to Heroes Next Door. This is my second time doing this, so there's going to be a little bit of glitches. Thank you for calling that out on me. All right, tonight this is Heroes Next Door. We're going to be talking about recruitment and retention. First of all, I want to thank you all for watching. And if you don't know who we are, Heroes Next Door is a YouTube company or YouTube production that we travel around the United States and we look at fire stations, EMS stations, and police stations and really highlight the people that are in there, the equipment they have, the stations where they live, on a regular basis. And Heroes Next Door is really you guys. You guys are the ones that make this thing happen. We're just trying to give you a platform in order to present everything that you do. So last week was a meet and greet. Today is going to be actually a little bit of talk and discussion about recruitment and retention. And how we got to this was one of our members who actually hit that join button on us requested to talk about this a little bit. So if you're interested in getting some questions answered and those kind of things, do us a favor, hit that join. Be part of the community. You're going to get a lot of updates. You get a lot of behind the scenes kind of footage and things like that. So yeah, recruitment and retention. This is going to be roughly about 45 minutes to an hour long. I do have a guest coming on near the end. He's going to talk more about the retention part of it and some tricks of the trade to help us with retention of employees and volunteers. Our guest is going to talk a little bit more to the employee part of it, but it also translates into many of the volunteers. So once again, my name is Mike Borello. I have a master's in organizational leadership. I have an undergrad in public safety administration. I've been a paramedic for coming up on 28 years, firefighting within that too. So yeah, thank you all for inviting me out to all the stations that we've already seen. But let's get this thing started. Let me see if I can move some of this stuff around. So recruitment and retention is a big topic. Volunteerism and recruitment for new employees has been very difficult, especially since the pandemic. But really, after the last 20 to 30 years, volunteerism and recruitment and all those different kind of things have really gone down, and we're finding it harder and harder to fill the trucks. There are stations out there that are running with 3, 5, 10 guys or gals, getting the trucks out, and it's becoming to the point where it's a hazard to us. With EMS, we're having trouble filling shifts, which is putting us in mandatory overtime. And, we're working 24, 48 hours straight without much break in between. And it's really beginning to get hard. So, recruitment and retention is a big thing to try to get around. And hopefully, with the little suggestions that I have, I'm going to look at some video clips from YouTube. I'm going to look at some books that I read during my education when I get my master's. But yeah, we got a lot of things going on. Thank you everybody for joining. I'm just going to take a look here real quick, scroll down. All right. Thank you. Perfect. Appreciate that. Okay, here we go. All right, recruitment and retention. Let's start with recruitment. What is recruitment to begin with? Recruitment is the action of finding new people to join your organization to support your cause. That is by definition from Google search and Webster and all those kind of things. So in order to have that, we need to come up with ideas to draw people to us. We need to figure out, why would they pick my station over another station? Fire stations are a lot throughout the county. Here in Chester County, we have quite a bit. But why would they pick one station over the other? And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Retention, on the other hand, is talking about, by definition, retention is the rate in which the company is able to keep people consistently or on a long-term basis. So yeah, maybe I can draw somebody over to my company because of the truck that I have or the wage that I offered or something like that. But once they're there, how do I keep those people? And those are the kind of things that we really, really want to talk about and address tonight. All right, jumping right into it here, we are going to talk about, see, I'm doing all this by myself. Word of mouth. Word of mouth is by far the best way to recruit. And what do I mean by word of mouth? That means going out, shaking hands, kissing babies, and saying, hey, here's my fire station, here's my EMS station, here's what we have to do. I'm excited to be there. I love the mission statement, and I love the vision of where we're going, and I think you should join. If I were to show up at a restaurant and start talking to somebody, waiting to pick up our food, I first of all wear my uniform or my shirts that say where I'm at, and that usually sparks like, oh, you work at the firehouse? Absolutely. Well, what does your firehouse have? Well, we have these trucks, we have this service, we maybe we run rescue, we run tower, or whatever that might be. It's really talking them word of mouth and saying, hey, why don't you come down to the fire station? Why don't you come down to the ES station and take a look around? Let us know what you think. The other thing by word of mouth is people. We've been in this business for a long, long time. Many of us have been in 3 to 5 years. In that 3 to 5 year phase, you've met many people throughout your workings. Those are the people that you can say, hey, this guy really is interested in becoming a volunteer firefighter, or he's thinking about becoming paid. Let's sit down, take him out to lunch, and talk to him about it, and let them know the mission and vision of your state of your place. The other thing is that we can do is bring it up by referrals. And what do I mean by referrals? Well, we all have stations that we work for. Most of us in EMS, we work for 2 and 3 stations at a time, trying to make ends meet. Referrals are finding a friend of us or a friend of ours that actually does good work. So we're like, they get good patient care. They're always on time. They're showing up and taking extra shifts when need be. They're personable. They're clean. They, all these things that we look for a good employee, we're going to run across from different station to different station and different station. So that one person may say, hey, Johnny over at, station 7 is interested in becoming a volunteer at your station or running EMS with you. That's what we would consider a referral. Referrals are huge in the sales industry, but referrals are also big for us. So pay attention to the people around you in order to get those referrals established and make that mouth-to-mouth or hand-to-hand communication with that person. The next idea that we have, and this is where a lot of the people are using right now, they jump all the way down to number 3 with using the standard media outlets. And what do I mean by that? We're using newspapers, we're using LinkedIn, we're using Indeed. Indeed's a huge one. And all these social media outlets to say, hey, we're recruiting, we're trying to get people in. We put up a job description. In that job description, you want to make sure that you have all your details of, like, what does the job entail? What kind of education does it need? What kind of benefits are you giving? What kind of education are you going to give them? All those kind of things go into these standard social media outlets. But don't take my word for it. I'm going to play just a couple of clips here from some YouTube videos and let you know what I'm thinking here. So let me see if I can bring this up. There it is. Let's get this one to play. I got a couple of clips out of here. Play this.
Thing for any leader and CEO to be good at. The interesting thing with this particular subject is that nobody teaches us anything about it. It's actually really hard to find any books on the topic. It's really hard to find a university course on the topic. It's really hard to actually find any TED Talk on the topic. But before I tell you about...
So this is a TED Talk that went on a couple years ago, and he's right. I actually did a deep dive into looking at different resources, looking at different schools that talk about how do we recruit, how do we get people to go in, and there's really not much out there. This guy does a great job. I'm going to fast forward it a little bit here. He talks about recruitment and how he goes about it. Give me a second. I'm learning this. 152. Close enough.
The right team, setting the best team that you can for your company, your organization, whatever part of your life it is. And it's about helping those people to achieve the results that is going to make them successful in that particular role.
So that is a key statement that should stand out to everybody that's thinking about recruitment. It all starts with leadership within the organization. It all is about making sure that the people that you are recruiting, you're going to give the opportunity for them to succeed inside your company. Yes, they're coming to help fill a role that you need, but ultimately those people are going out in the work area. They're the ones that are going to be getting the job done. And it's us as supervisors and leaders and things like that that are really need to give them the tools to be successful. He goes on to talk about some of the things that he does and how he goes about recruiting. Got another little clip here. Bear with me, guys. I'm hanging in there. You guys are awesome. All right, this is a different one. Let's throw this one real quick. Switch over. Let's play this one. So this is another tool to use for recruiting. Let's play.
Is your fire department changing with the changing economy? Here are some actions that your department can take to help save the volunteer fire service for the next generation. First, replace residency requirements with participation requirements. Departments can implement creative minimum participation standards that meet the needs of the department and allow members the flexibility to maximize their contribution. For example, you can require them to either make a certain percentage of tone calls or make 2 12-hour shifts per month. Today's firehouse is also a complex operation that requires a diverse skill set. Who's your department's treasurer, webmaster, social media manager? It's time to redefine membership and rethink volunteer opportunities in the fire service that not only fulfill our emergency response obligations, but help manage.
So this one really hit close to home to me because what we're thinking about is not just help to recruit for, putting fires out or getting the trucks out, but we need all aspects of help. So when you're thinking of recruiting different people, make sure that you're reaching that broad range. If you notice a lot in our videos, when we go from station to station, we talk to many of the fire department guys, and they're pretty much a jack of all trades. They are carpenters, they are welders, they are mechanics and things like that. Recruiting those kind of people to come to your organization is really going to make your organization that much stronger. So reach out and see, those organizations or those people to help you build your organization. Again, this goes back to, word of mouth and talking to them and letting them know what your mission and vision statement is in order to do that. I'm going to catch up on some of the questions here. Again, I'm solo tonight, so I am trying to keep up with you as much as I possibly can. Thank you for that donation. I appreciate that. All right. So the other ways that we can do recruitment are the new kind of social medias, the YouTubes, the Facebooks, the Facebook groups and pages, the Instagrams, the Twitters, the TikToks. All those kind of things are coming out fairly new within the last 5 to 7 years. And these are resources we can use to start reaching out. One of the ones that I want to talk about actually does really, really good. And the first one that I've seen for a fire department reaching out is actually South Metro. South Metro is a big organization out in Colorado. They do a real good job of using social media, using YouTube. If you haven't gone to their page, go to their page, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. But they recently are looking for a new PIO, which is a public information officer. So they went out and decided to do a little YouTube blurb to promote what they're looking for. And here's a sample of it.
PIO team together that we want to be progressive in what we put out and creative in our storytelling abilities.
Let me catch you here.
My favorite part of the job as a public information officer.
Let me switch that over here. Let me get rid of this one. Technical difficulties. Bear with me, guys. You guys are awesome. All right, let me share this. I'm going to go back to South Metro. There it is. There she is. And let's play this.
Officer is every day different.
20 minutes from now, I could be doing live interviews from the scene of the next national headline. We respond to a wide variety of things that can happen. In 2021, South Metro's PIOs responded to almost 300 incidents, and that's because that's where the story's happening.
So anything from residential fires, commercial fires,
Aircraft emergencies where planes or helicopters might have crashed,
hazardous materials incidents,
building collapse or vehicles that crash into structures.
active shooter situation.
Wildland firefighting is another really big part of what South Metro does, and probably one of the greatest risks that we have to our community.
Our water rescues and ice rescues.
Really, this is like ultimate journalism, and where most journalists have to stop at the yellow
All right, we
tape,
can stop this for now.
that's where...
So this is just a really good idea of using their different platforms, their YouTube platform, to advertise or recruit for their next PIO. You can do this for firemen. You can do this for administrative staff. You can do this for many different things. But what it does that normal outlets like the Indeeds and things like that, or the LinkedIns, they don't give you a visual of what the station looks like. They don't give you an understanding of where you're going to be. So by using these different kind of media platforms, it's going to be pretty cool and pretty effective in gaining new recruits. Dev, thank you for your donation, brother. I appreciate that. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about is you want to be very active in your recruiting. Let me get rid of that one in the background. And what do I mean by this? You need to develop almost a committee of leadership that is dedicated to doing recruitment. You want to go out and talk to people. You want to set up timelines. You want to set up, what your budget is going to be for recruitment. And all that is not necessarily on one person. It's not on a PIO. It's not just on the chief. It's on a whole committee to get this thing accomplished. What are some different ideas that you can use? One of the things that we saw that was very effective was out in Teaneck, New Jersey. They go to the schools and they look at the high schools and say, and actually kind of teach a class, a subclass of people who are interested in becoming into the healthcare field. They know they may not stay in the ambulance service. They know they are going to go on to become a nurse or a doctor or a lawyer. But if you can get them in the high school and the age that you can, they're starting to look for different careers and figure out what they want to do in life, that's really a good place to go. So that's just one idea, but it's a very effective idea. But what you have to do is make sure, just even with your recruitment phase, you want to have a mission and a vision statement put down on paper so that you can have measurable goals. So, by March 1st of 2022, I want to at least talk to 5 people in regards to my company. I want to at least place 3 ads within Indeed and LinkedIn, any of those kind of things. I want to put together a video series and put this out on social media. We're going to hit our Facebook. We're going to hit our TikTok. Those are the different kind of things that you need to do, but make sure that they're measurable and that you can come back in March and say, did we accomplish what we're trying to do? Were we able to do that? And what kind of results did we get from it? Out of those 5 people I talked to, did any of them put in an application? Those are the different things that you need, and you need to really be very intentional when you're talking about recruiting. Use everything to your advantage. All those social media outlets, the new ones and the old ones, is really going to give you the best results. But personally, what I find the best results are that human interaction. Yes, I know the pandemic has limited a lot of that stuff, but we still have the ability to go out and talk to people wearing our masks and, let them know where we're at in the organization, and we can get those things accomplished. So recruitment and retention definitely starts with leadership. And that's where I want to kind of bump over to some of my books that I read. This is going to go to a book from Ethics in Healthcare Administration. And this is a Kindle book that I had. It was one of the books that I read during my education. First and foremost, healthcare organizations, and I'm going to say EMS, police, and fire departments are kind of healthcare organizations, but it applies across the board. We have to make sure that we address efficiently and effective that the staff that we're looking for is going to be well taken care of and treated the way they're supposed to be treated. So let me find a notebook here. I'm going to bring you up some flashcards. All right, let me share this. Get rid of this one. You guys are doing awesome. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you. Hopefully this is making sense to everybody. I'm trying to keep things moving a little bit. We do have Eric coming on in just a little bit. He's going to talk a little bit more in regards to what we can do for some of the staff. I'm going to read all of your comments. I know it's hard for me to keep up, but I will keep up with it. It's kind of like during class. I'm raising your hand and answering your questions while I'm on a thought process. So I'm going to bring you to, I'm going to share my file here. Let's get rid of this one. Let's stop sharing that. And then we're going to share this. All right. Share my window. Share. There it is. These are some bookmarks that I made. Actually, let me go back to my notes here. This is a book I read years ago when I was going through my education. And there's some really good advice. I had it up here. What this book is really talking about is, the value of people and knowing that a service has all the equipment. We have the fire trucks, we have the ambulances, we have the police cars, we have the buildings, but really what makes an organization run are the people that's in it, and it's the leaders that are there. Many times we look for leadership that are strong and go-getting, but we also have to look for those servant leaders that are going to make sure that they're picking people coming into the organization that they can empower them to do the job. That kind of brings me to another point here, kind of a little bunny trail a little bit. Let me stop sharing this. It brings me to a bunny trail of I work at an EMS station that it was expanding from BLS to ALS, and they were trying to recruit me. And one of the things that I asked them is, why should I work for you versus work for the company next door? What do you have or what do you offer that these guys don't? Because, okay, if the mission statement is just, I'm going to get the trucks out and serve the public the best way we can, well, I can do that anywhere. Well, what really is going to draw me to your organization? Is it going to be finance? Is it going to be the equipment that you have? Is it going to be the leadership that you have? For me, that's a big one. Or is it going to be some of the services that you offer? Maybe you're a rescue company. Maybe you have tactical. All those kind of things all get involved when you're talking about recruiting people for the next topic or for the next position. So, I looked at them and said, okay, you want me, here's my resume. You've read that. Where do you see me as a leader in your organization? A lot of times that gets reversed when we're doing an interview. The interviewer is going to go, okay, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? Well, I don't know. I've never been in your company before. I don't know where I'm going to be. But if I flip that on its head and I'm going to turn around and ask the interviewer, where do you as a leader see me in 3 to 5 years? That's really going to spark my interest. So just flip the script a little bit. You're going to see some pretty big results and people coming on board. I know it's about finance, but realistically, if I work at one station and I make $25 an hour, and then another station comes to me and make $27 an hour, but they don't have that leadership, they don't have that mission or vision, they don't have a role for me, and they don't see me where I should be or where I want to be, I'm going to stick with a $25 an hour job because that's where I'm going to feel most wanted. That's where I'm going to feel most useful in order to do that. All right. So hopefully this is all making sense to you guys. I know we're all over the world. Everybody's got their own little issues that are going on. But this is really the key to recruitment is having a strong leadership, getting organized, and setting goals, setting measurable goals for you to take care of business and make sure that those things are done. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to bring on Eric. Let me bring on Eric. See if he's here. There he is. I'm going to bring him up. We're going to share the screen here a little bit. I'm going to pop him up first. Eric, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. All right. This is Eric. He is a friend of mine. We worked a long time together. And Eric is a financial advisor now at Creative Financial Group, right? Is that correct?
That is correct.
But you are also still a part-time paramedic, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And you've been a paramedic for how long?
About 30 years.
Yeah. So you've been in the business a long time. So you know
Longer than
this.
you.
Yeah, you know these struggles that we're going through. You know what we're trying to recruit new people and keep those people. You've seen it. You've seen those kind of things going on. So, what can you kind of give us to help us, retain some of these people? We're going off of recruitment now. Say we've talked to them, we're able to get them explained our mission, our vision, and now they're interested in becoming part of our company. Now we want to keep them, right? We don't want them in a year and a half, 2 years, 30 days leaving. We want them to stay. What can we do to help them with that?
So you have that first slide to put up there?
Yeah, let me pull it up here.
Okay. So our organization has been working with businesses for almost 60 years now, and primarily with business owners, the executives of the company. And what we found, a common theme amongst all of them, the other one there.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. The common theme was retention and recruitment. And one of the things that we found is that we could truly help the retention part of it. When you look at employees, personal finances are the number one issue that they have. So looking at, in MetLife did a lot of research on it. PricewaterhouseCoopers did a lot of research. There's a lot of articles with Forbes, and they found that 67% of the people, employees, were frustrated and stressed out with their personal finances. 80% of this is kind of reversing. 80% of employers believe that financial stress was lowering the productivity of their employees, and it specifically dealt with retention, because this in fire and EMS is you might make $22 an hour and you can go get next door and make 24. So what do? You go make $24 an hour. And 7 out of 10 employers do not address the financial needs of their employees like they should. What's interesting is only about 37% are actually planning or willing to do something to help their employees.
So sorry, I didn't mean to break you off.
Okay.
But I want to make sure I'm clarifying here. You're not just talking about a daily wage for an hourly wage. You're talking about above and beyond what I make per hour.
Right. And that's where it comes in with the benefits. When I started at my first paramedic job, believe it or not, we actually had a pension. We had a 403. We had very good benefits. And what's interesting is in the 6-7 years I think I was there full time, not one time did actually anybody ever come to me and say, hey, here's what we have. Here's what taking advantage of these benefits mean to you. And correct me if I'm wrong, they probably never did that for you.
Yeah. It basically was all about, what are we getting per hour? And that was it. They mentioned some things about a 401 or a 403, but they really didn't explain it to me and realize what it is. So I actually didn't start investing in any kind of retirement plan until I was well into my career, because I had no idea.
Yeah. And what's interesting, what I found is when I started my job as a financial advisor, if you were 18 years old and you started putting away $2,000 a year until you're 26, okay? And then you stop. That's me. Now, Mike, you're 26 and start putting $2,000 a year away until you're 65. Who has more money invested? That 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And it just boggles my mind. I look back and going, oh my God, how much money did I waste in that early on period? And not understanding what was available to me.
Exactly. So the question becomes, how do the employers help with that kind of situation? How do they educate me? Or is it my responsibility to educate myself?
Well, actually, yes, it is. But
Okay.
it's the company's, it's the employer's responsibility to empower the employees to take advantage of the benefits they offer them. So if you go to the next one, the next slide, you'll look and you'll see that it's not a one size model fits all. Every organization is different. Every organization has different, benefits available to their employees. And in part of, and I'll go back, I'm going to sort of step back here, when we look at the organization, see, this is primarily for paid, but one thing with volunteers, not that slide, but the other one. So when you look at the assessment of what you have available to your employees or volunteers, I've actually worked with an organization that was looking for something for their volunteers. How do we maintain and keep our volunteers here, not just for 2 years and they go somewhere else? We train them and they leave. And how much money have you spent and wasted on training? And now they've gone somewhere else to take that training somewhere else. And it's what they're really part of that sort of executive carve out plans. So what this volunteer organization has done, they're volunteer and paid, but what they've done for their volunteers is something so small. Everyone has term life insurance at the fire company. But what they've done is they know how much it costs to train somebody. They know how much money they're wasting training and people leaving. So what they did is they actually, all volunteers got a permanent whole life policy. So what basically that is, that gains cash value over time and it's permanent. So you have it for the rest of your life, where the term policies generally are gone by a certain age or they're just too expensive to have them. So what they'll do is you're here 10 years, 15 years, whatever it is, the company owns that policy at that point. That cash value is theirs. But at a certain point, 10, 15 years later, they turn that policy over to the employee, the volunteer. And now the volunteer has something that he has for the rest of his life, and it has cash value.
Okay. So they're not necessarily doing an investment as far as financial investment as a volunteer. They're doing an investment as far as time given to the company. And in return, the company is going to basically compensate them with that benefit.
Right, for that benefit. And they've done that. They'll do the same thing with annuities. They get a small annuity, and every year they pay the annuity. And then at a certain point, they turn it over to that volunteer. So they have something they can walk away with going, hey, you know what? Here's an incentive for me to stay here. And similar to these like executive carve-out plans, you mentioned the captains moving up on the line. You get to a certain point. How do you, keep your executives? How do you keep your administrative staff? What incentives do you have? And you can have certain carve-out plans available to them above and beyond the regular hourly employee.
Okay. That also gives you an incentive to try to move up within a company then too.
Correct. And then, so when you're looking at the individual, how do you empower your employees to take advantage of their benefits? And what we'll do is it will assess what they have, assess the benefits they have, and even still, you can carve out specific plans that are no cost to the employer, but are a benefit to the employee that they can't get elsewhere. And there's benefits to that. So, and oh my gosh, we have this that's available to us that is an advantage to me, that are no cost to the employer, but it's still a cost to the employee.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
this is something that is never really explained at the level of that we're doing, especially in the EMS side of it. Fire is a little bit better. They have some pensions. They're usually a government-run program. Yeah. But there's a lot of volunteer companies out there that don't have that. But on the EMS side of it, none of this is really explained to us.
No, not at all. And like I said, they don't take advantage of it. I mean, imagine that you're a 22-year-old, and believe it or not, I've actually sat down with some paramedics that are in their 30s, and they will have $1 million. They were proactive themselves, and by the time they're 65, they will have over $1 million saved in their 401k.
Wow. Yeah.
Pretty impressive. It can be done.
Yeah. And then you can retire. I have a friend of mine that is getting up there in age, has worked for many, many years. Fantastic guy, but he and like myself, early on in our career, we just went from hourly to hourly and didn't even pay attention to the other benefits that were out there. I went to a hospital system, fortunately, that was able to match some of my 401ks. So even just doing a little thing like that makes a big difference on your retirement plans.
That's free money. That's an extra. That could be potentially an extra $5,000 a year on your bottom line dollar that you're not taking advantage of, or more.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll assess what benefits are available to them, and we'll develop programs on a ongoing basis. For instance, and I think I tried to send it to you, but I couldn't get it straight. We'll develop classes. So we'll meet with organizations. We'll have every 2 months we're going to have a meeting, whether it starts off with financial wellness. What is financial wellness? Financial goal setting. What are your goals in retirement? What's that going? What do you need to do to meet those goals? We might do a personal risk class, estate planning classes. What's terrible is part of being financially well is having your estate and having wills. How many people do we talk to that don't have a will?
Yeah.
Don't have power of attorneys.
Yeah.
And everybody should have them. And
absolutely,
we can go on forever about estate planning and dying without a will. It can be tied up in courts for a long time.
Yeah.
Which is not a good thing.
Yeah. And that just puts that more stress that you talked about early on. One of the major stressors, other than doing the job, is our finance and making sure that we can provide for our family, making sure we can put food on the table from week to week, and making sure that, when I do get to that age where I need to start thinking about retirement, I have the resources to do that. All too often, I have friends of mine that, been in this for a long time, that they can't retire quite yet because they don't have the things saved up. They just were never educated to the point to where they understood, how to do this. So I want to thank you for coming on today and kind of giving us a little insight on what it means to employers to think about these kind of things. So any of you heroes next door out there that are watching, that are actually leaders within your organization, get a hold of Eric, get a hold of the company, and see what kind of things they can benefit you for. These are the kind of things that are really going to help you with that retention of those employees that you recruited. You've gone through the steps of, social media platforms. You've gone through the mouth-to-mouth and communication to get those employees. Now you want to keep them. Well, how do I do that? Well, make sure that they're financially taken care of. Make sure that they're personally and their families are taken care of by offering services that Eric talks about tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there anything else you want to add there, Eric? We're getting up on time a little bit.
I'll point out our flags we have in the background there. We both have the same flag made by the same guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Behind you.
I think I got one in the basement that I'm going to be doing a giveaway. So all you guys that are out there watching, if you like these flags behind us, drop us an email, make a comment, and maybe we can get you out one. So
the last thing I'll say is, I always think about begin with the end in mind. What's retirement look like? And start planning soon, because as Mike said, if you wait until you're 55, 60, it's astronomical. You can look at models going, that 20-year-old, how much do you need to save to meet your financial goal? And it's nominal amount of money. And then all of a sudden, now you're 55 going, how much do I need to save? You're talking $30,000, $40,000 a year. Significant difference of, $2,000 a year versus $30,000, $40,000 a year. So it is so crucial. And when you can sit back and go, you know what, I'm good. I feel happy. What retirement could look like, that I can do it. So it is critical.
It makes a huge difference. It also helps you, in our field, you've seen it. Our people go on to become nurses because they pay better and they have those kind of benefits. They go on into other financial fields. They go on to even different careers altogether because EMS in general and fire in general, they don't set you up like this very well. And us as the new generation, as you guys as the heroes next door, it's up to you guys to turn this thing around and make it worth their while to volunteer and to start looking at these as careers as long-term investments. That's really what it comes down to. That employee, that volunteer that you're bringing on, they got to be a long-term investment. You got to be willing to invest in them financially in order to help retain those as a service. And when you do that, they're definitely going to be more apt to stay in your organization. They're going to feel more wanted. They're going to have ownership of your company. And that's really what's going to make the biggest difference, rather than that employee that jumps from job to job to job, or jumps from EMT, paramedic, and now they're going on to nurse and they leave altogether. We've seen that time and time again. So having financial stability, making sure that you give them authority, making sure that you recruit people that usually are smarter than you. That's a good thing to do too. Making sure that you surround your organization with people that want to do the job, that are people that are excited about doing the job. Make sure that your mission and vision statement for your company is well known and understood. All too often we switch companies, or we've gone to a company and I have no idea what their mission and vision statement is. I don't know how they're going to accomplish it. It really doesn't get explained very well. So you as a leader that are looking at this and how do we do this, that's really where it starts, is that mission, vision, making sure that your employees and your volunteers are financially taken care of. And those are the things that are going to really make it. Eric, I appreciate you, brother. So It looks like you're on the job tonight.
I am. I'm actually working tonight of all nights.
All right.
2 weeks. So
well, have a safe night, and be careful out there. Okay.
I'll let my relief go home.
All right. We'll take care then. So that was Eric. He's a paramedic for a long time. He's doing some financial advising because he realized pretty early in his career that if we don't step up as leaders and we don't understand what's going on, that retention is going to be very difficult. We've had so many stations out there that train up, bring them in, and then they move on. Yes, you're going to have some of that. You're going to have those younger guys that go on from volunteer to career departments. That's a good thing. That's nothing wrong with that. You're going to have probably 10% of your staff that you bring on, either as volunteer or new employee, move on at some point in their career. But the key is for us is to keep them in our careers. We don't necessarily want them jumping to become a mechanic because they make more money, or become a realtor or some other job. We need to keep them within the EMS field, whether that's fire, police, or emergency services. Once again, this is Heroes Next Door. Thank you all for joining us. This is just kind of a short little thing tonight. We talked about retention and recruitment of staff and volunteers. One thing that I want to mention is, if you haven't done it yet, hit that join button on our YouTube page. That gets you some priorities of some questions that you might want answered. This topic tonight was one of those questions that were in those chats from last week. Every week at 6 o'clock, we're going to be doing these kind of things and talk a little bit more about some topics. I love the interaction that we've been getting here. We got a lot of conversation going on. I am doing this solo, so I'm doing the best I can. I know there's a little bit of lag with my internet service. I will be working on that as I continue on, so bear with me. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. I bet I could talk for another hour on this topic, but I don't want to beat it to death right now. If you have more questions, I'm going to stay on for just a little bit longer to answer some of those questions on these chats. And let's see what we can do here. Let me see. The next thing is, don't forget to hit our YouTube channel and subscribe. Hit the notification button so you get notified when these chats are coming up with these live streams. If you're interested in looking at some of the older live streams, we do have a new playlist. We do have a new playlist for people to look at underneath live streams. Eric is always welcome to answer more questions. So if you have, I can share his contacts with you and get you what you need. So, all right, I'm going to go to my chat room here and see if we can pull up some of the chats. I know I haven't talked directly to you much. All right, Teddy D from Rhode Island. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Ted Goose 47. Nice to meet you. I think you're from Facebook. The Goose is the name that I know. I appreciate you. Oh, yeah, that's you, Goose. All right. Yeah, that's a huge. We'll talk more about that. We'll definitely maybe chat on a Zoom call. All right, who else is here? Cooper, appreciate you joining. Let's see here. John, found that you're from Scotland. All right. Volunteer. I'm just browsing up real quick, guys. like I said, keep writing some questions. If you have something you want to talk about on these forums, this is the time to do it. Here. Jackson Fix, appreciate you joining us tonight. Travis, appreciate you. Peaceman 73, good. Alex, everybody's joining. All right. Station Cribs. Yeah, we're still doing Station Cribs. We film every other Saturday. So every Saturday we post, we're going to be posting Station Rigs or Station Cribs. We may be doing a product review. We got some pretty big things going on. We're going to be setting up a day in the life. So we're going to be doing a 24-hour shift with a fire company here. We're going to see some of the things behind the scenes on education. We're going down to a school in Delaware County and see how they're going to be doing things. So this is pretty cool stuff. It's stuff that I never really thought about as I got into it, but we have very, very exciting things going on, and it would not all take place without you guys. So I appreciate you guys offering. If you have a station that you guys want to see on Heroes Next Door, hit us up on email. It's watchheroesnextdoor@gmail.com. Send us an invite, and we'll try to get you on the schedule. We're working that way. So right now, it looks like our participation is starting to dwindle a little bit. I know I'm kind of going over things, but I don't want to miss anything. Like I said, this is my second time doing this. I'm learning. Bear with me. Trying to get all these new features of this program up and running and making sure I hit everybody that's on here. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good night. And once again, don't forget to subscribe, hit notification for Heroes Next Door. See you next Friday.